You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Come on, bitches. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. It is Sunday. Week 11 of the NFL is about to kick off in a couple of hours, and we have got a great guest joining us today. He is waiting backstage. We'll bring him on in just a little bit, but my man, Evo, welcome in, brother. We've had a lot of shit go on the last week. Tons of football today. College football has been crazy. Big time fights as well. Tyson goes down. So does Stipe, my guy from Cleveland. But, brother, how you doing? Welcome in.
How's it going, Mike? Good weekend. It's been a great fight weekend. A lot of action, especially for those that don't want to spend the extra money on UFC. You got to possibly pop on Netflix if you got that and watch good fights leading up to that last fight. Serrano won, man. Serrano won.
100%. She dominated that fight.
You know, good fight weekend. And now we're getting into some good sports, college football yesterday and NFL today. Super excited to go over the games and go over everything in the world of NFL.
Yeah, man. Great. Netflix has got to figure out what they're doing with their live broadcast before they get these NFL games. Because buffer, Mike Tyson's cheeked up ass, buffer was a weird way to watch that entire stream. The commentary was not great either, but you know what? Some of the fights were good. Serrano absolutely won. Mike looked good for a couple rounds. We talked about it. He was going to have to end it early. Didn't happen. I'm just glad that Jake didn't put him out because it seemed pretty clear that Mike was done after about the third round.
Yeah, even just walking out there, it kind of looked on his face like he didn't have the normal, like, determined killer face that he normally has. Like, he almost looked like he was kind of there. It's sad to see some of your heroes go down. Obviously not a knockout, but, you know, you don't like seeing that sort of a situation happen where it's like a guy that you know, grew up watching, how amazing he is, and see him kind of walk off into the sunset like that. It's tough to see, but I keep telling myself, hey, he got paid. He knew what he was doing. He's a grown man. So either way, fun weekend of fights so far. It was pretty interesting to watch, especially last night.
Yeah, last night was crazy too. Stipe takes the spinning heel kick to the side, and that game over. I thought he broke his ribs. Apparently, Stipe has come out and said he's okay, but Stipe is done. Calls it a career. Could have retired earlier. Didn't. It's okay. Stipe, I still think will be regarded as the greatest heavyweight champion of all time in the UFC. John Jones will be regarded as the greatest champion of all time, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And look, we had those last 3 matches were fantastic. Bo Nickel up against Paul Craig was fantastic match. Bo Nickel, obviously one of the big up and coming guys, now 7-0. Just very technical, very good at what he's doing. And then Oliveira versus Chandler. Chandler, whenever he goes out there to fight, you're going to see a battle. Like, the guy doesn't give up. The guy battles constantly. Oliveira is such a technician, though, especially with that ground game. That was a fantastic fight. And then we end the night with John Bones Jones, the best pound for pound fighter out there versus the greatest heavyweight ever. Like, you can't argue with it being a fantastic card. The only thing to argue with is, the $100+ price tag to watch these things is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely pay for your UFC. Don't watch it how other people maybe watch it, because I always pay. Evo, you pay, right?
100%.
Always pay for your UFC. Don't do anything but that. But, it's a great segue into, bringing somebody on that is going to hopefully impart some additional knowledge on us. Because, listen, when we had the idea to get Carmen Angelo on, I was very excited. This is a legit newsman, executive producer of the Mike Trevisano show here in Cleveland back in the day. He was the co-host and news anchor of Bloom Daddy and is now the new news anchor for iHeartMedia's Total Traffic and News Network. Our friend who's going to join us today for these games, Carmen Angelo. Let's welcome him to the show.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, there he is. Carmen.
What's happening?
Thank you very much, man. We are excited to have you on. We wanted to start today and do a little bit of an interview, get some information that, it's not necessarily easy to come by. We're a couple of dummy, thick idiots who are veterans.
Sorry, that makes 3 up. Well, number one, thank you for your service. Means the world to me, my family. I come from a long line of Marines, Navy guys, and as the Marines and Navy guys would say, my father was a member of Aren't Ready for Marines Yet. But that's that camaraderie and the bond that the branches have. And I know you guys are both 2 Army guys. Love the Army. One of my dear friends, Travis Mills, who I'm sure the 2 of you are very familiar with. I don't care what branch, what service, any man or woman that raises his or her right hand to protect guys like me and the rest of us, we love you. And you got my support forever.
Thank you very much, Carmen. Thank you very much for your support.
Absolutely.
Well, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let me make sure. Did I get all of the things that about you correct? You were the executive producer of Mike Trevisano show, co-host, news anchor on Bloom Daddy, and I know we talked about it. You texted me the other day and told me that you were the new anchor for the Total Traffic and News Network. All of that is still accurate, still right?
Yeah, essentially, I'll be doing news nationally for iHeart subsidiary, Total Traffic and News Network, as you said. Don't know exactly what my defined role is going to be. There's been some sweeping change throughout our company the last 10 days or so. But yeah, I will. I know I'll certainly be anchoring newscasts at the top and bottom of the hour out on the West Coast. Other parts of the country, I guess, yet to be determined. I'll find that out probably in the next 5 business days.
All right, great. Well, congratulations on the new gig with iHeart. I know that's you've been there for a long, long time. That's when we originally met. Was at iHeart.
Yeah, we originally met at iHeart, and then I think we were reacquainted on the sidelines of was it the St. Ed's Massillon game or the St. Ed's Hoban game? Or maybe the St. Joe Prep game. Oh, was the St. Ed's Hoban game?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jim Kaler, you were with Jim Kaler, and Jimmy's son, Petey, is the athletic director at St. Ed. So it was my honor to obviously meet you at our studios at 668 Euclid, and then, maybe 8 months later, reacquainted on the sidelines. And, I'm happy to be here, boys.
Man, thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it very much. So with that, let's get it kicked off. Evo, I know you had one specific question that we talked about a little bit before that I feel like is a great way to kick this off. So go ahead, brother.
Yeah, for sure. So Carmen, what kind of started you off getting into broadcasting, media, things like that? Was it something that you kind of felt like you wanted to do when you were younger, or did you end up going to school and college and finding that it was something that you wanted to do? And then from there, were you always wanting to kind of be on radio, or did you want to do other sorts of media as well?
It's funny. My father and I, not to sound corny, but my father used to take me to nursery school every day, and he would always have WERE on at the time, which was only a 5,000 watt stick, but it was essentially the number one news talk station in Cleveland. And on our 5-minute, 10-minute drive to Mother Goose Nursery School from Fairview to Rocky River, my dad would have that on, and I became interested in radio. I became interested in current events, and fast forward a couple years, I end up at St. Angelo Merici Grade School in Fairview Park, and I'll never forget it. I don't know how much time you guys have or how long you want me, but I could go on forever.
Time.
But I just want to cite one of the reasons that led me into basically journalism. When I was at St. Angela, and our first grade teacher, Mrs. Mazzella, was teaching us how to read, she would have contests. I can't remember what they entailed, but the process of learning to read was fun. She made it fun. And I became a voracious reader when I was 7 years old, 8 years old. I used to get to St. Angela about 7 in the morning, and I would go to the library and I would read the New York Times. I would read the Cleveland Press. I would read everything I possibly could before my school day started, and I became a junkie for current events, whether they were domestic or global. It was crazy. I was pretty well informed as a young kid, simply because Mrs. Mazzella made the process of learning how to read fun with these contests that she held for us, and she would award us prizes. And that ultimately led me to my life in journalism, whether it's print or broadcast.
Awesome. Outstanding. So I assume then you did go to school for journalism. Oh, do you think we've got Mike? He's, post-Army career doing this, going to school at Cleveland State, a lot of stuff with sports media and marketing. And myself, who I'm still kind of carrying out my post-military / military career. And we're trying to combine to, have these different sorts of media outlets with a specific look at sports here in the Lineman Lounge, but a lot of other content underneath the No Sleeves Network that we're a part of. Do you think that it is absolutely necessary for someone to be going through like a collegiate route to find access to media and journalism and whatnot, or can someone like me who's kind of on the sidelines working their way in find a spot as well?
One thing about higher education is you can gain internships. You can go to your guidance counselor, and he or she may have available internships in your desired field. And as we know, those internships get your foot in the door. And obviously you could get, by doing an internship, you could get 4 credit hours toward graduation, maybe 6 credit hours. And some internships even pay, but I can tell you, that's huge. And this is no disrespect. I attended Cleveland State as well. I attended St. Edward High School, and guys, I can tell you, the English classes, the way that I was taught how to write when I was at St. Ed's, I didn't need any higher level education English wise, or to show me how to compose and to show me how to write for print. They taught me how to write, and I was able to write for print, and obviously I could write for broadcast. Now higher education, again, will offer you opportunities that you can't get like right off the street, just being maybe a high school grad. You go see your guidance counselor, maybe he or she has a couple of openings that are available throughout that market, and you try and get in there. But I can tell you, St. Ed's prepared me so well for what I do today.
That's
Well, yeah,
awesome.
St. Ed's is a fantastic school here in Cleveland, Evo. Well, we got to go to that game. That's where we got to reconnect. Very good football program as well. Graydon was there, got to take a look, was very interested as well. So St. Ed's is a fantastic school. It's great that they prepared you that well. I'm one of those people that when I write very similar to how I speak. So going back and
Bingo,
having
bro.
to continue to write.
No, well, that's, you know what? A lot of people, so many people are stuck in writing AP style. And I encourage kids, speak conversationally. Speak as if, you're at your buddy's house and you're watching a football game. Speak conversationally. As a matter of fact, my old news director, R.C. Bauer, he corrected me one day for speaking too properly because I used the phrase I shall. Most people say I will. St. Ed's taught me that it's I shall, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be a hard habit to break, but coming out of, going into a break, I would say something like, I shall be back on WTAM 1100, and he's like, no, I'll be back. I'll be back, but that's the English education I received at St. Edward High School.
All right. So
I think that's a big thing, though, especially right now in today's climate in America and political climate and everything, is authenticity. People can see the authenticity, whether it's there or not. And that, probably led a lot into our presidential election and whatnot, good or bad authenticity. You're getting the real person that you're seeing out there in some of these places.
Absolutely.
So,
let's go, baby. It's a new day in America. 45 and 47.
Absolutely.
So
then,
between sports and news.
Sorry, did I do a no there?
Oh no. You're
Not at all.
totally fine. We do not. You can talk about anything that you want to talk about. We will agree or we will disagree, and we can have that conversation civilly anytime. You are allowed to say whatever you want. You are not going to be censored on this program.
Well, no, that's what makes this world great. I got so many liberal friends, and I respect their opinion. And at the end of the day, I want to keep them as friends, and all I ask is for their respect. But hey, since last Tuesday, I'm on top of the world, man. Let's go.
So when you're talking about the news, which one is harder to deal with? Cleveland sports, politics.
Well, Cleveland sports. I mean, we got a couple good things going in the Guardians and the Cavaliers. I mean, the Cavaliers are just off to a historic start as a franchise. The Browns, they're an absolute joke. As long as Truck Stop Jimmy owns that franchise, we ain't got a shot, boys. Don't have a shot. Here I am. I'm talking conversationally, telling you we ain't got a shot. But what rolls downhill, and Jimmy Haslam has proven to be not a very good owner, and it is what it is. I will say, I mean, he made a lot of money with Pilot Flying J. I give him credit for that, but he did buy a big piece of the Milwaukee Bucks, and that was about 2 years ago, and they're not faring very well. So it's almost like he's schleprock. Anything he touches in a professional sporting world turns to doo-doo.
All right. So are we placing blame for the things that have happened then on Jimmy, or is there a failure in what we have seen in the front office as well from this year?
It's Jimmy, 100%. I mean, this is a guy that, it's we are cursed as Browns fans with Jimmy and D. Haslam at the top. Then people say, well, we need a new coach, or, Andrew Berry's got to go. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Andrew Berry, and I think the culture that is with the Cleveland Browns right now, from Kevin Stefanski, he's not. You guys were in the military. I respond best to guys, who will give me a crack. Okay. I'm not saying, that I grew up with a bunch of World War II veterans and Korean War guys, my father and my uncles. All right.
Sometimes you got to get in that ass.
Oh, absolutely. You can't be a player's friend. When you guys were in the military, were your superiors your friends? They were hard as hell on you, and they were only hard as hell on you because they loved you and wanted to get the best out of you. Kevin Stefanski isn't going to chew somebody's ass out or ride somebody's ass. If I was a coach and I saw guys come out the stretch, maybe in minicamp with slides on or Crocs, whatever, I'm running the dog shit out of them. They're not even taking part in practice. They're running until they freaking puke. Sorry.
I feel it.
Oh, hey, listen, I'm here for it, man. I'm absolutely here for it. Evo, you got another question?
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the culture change there. It seems like there does need to be that culture change, but that's something that I've kind of been pointing to is Jimmy Haslam. Like, where is the issue right now with the Browns? And it does kind of trend all the way towards the top. Deshaun Watson being that biggest crux point recently. Who authorized that deal? Well, it's the guy who's signing the checks. It's Jimmy Haslam. He's trying to make a big move this team. Obviously, quarterback is the most important position on the field for the Browns, but going after that guy with that amount of money in the trade capital, it's a tough sell, and it's had ripple effects throughout the rest of the team. And it's tough when you bring a guy like that in for the rest of the team to kind of respect the organization. So I feel like Stefanski, while he definitely isn't the guy to get in someone's ass, he's also kind of on his heels because he's like, I've got no good backing here, like with the culture in general on this team.
Well, he's hamstrung, boys. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm sure Kevin Stefanski is a guy that loves to use a tight end, and he loves to pound the rock. I mean, how many times have we seen 12 personnel with Kevin Stefanski? And before Deshaun Watson started to go downhill, he was an athlete. He was a quarterback who was also an athlete, and he didn't fit Kevin Stefanski's system. They had to kind of tailor a new offense around him. Kevin Stefanski's a great guy. He went to Penn with a couple of kids that I took under my wing, some St. Ed's kids way back in the day. He's a great guy by all accounts, great family man. But as far as the leader of this team, I don't think he has what it takes. I don't know. I'm stuck in the Eisenhower administration, boys. I want a guy like Lombardi, Parcells, Belichick, somebody that's going to ride my ass. I'm going to hate it. Growing up with my father was a son of a bitch. Okay. And I hated it. I couldn't stand it. But when I got to about 23, 24 years of age, I'm like, God damn, that old man was right. Shame on me.
We were talking about coaches here just recently because the Cowboys appear like they might need a coach. Evo asked me who the best candidate for that job was, and it's B-Flow, Brian Flores. If B-Flow's leaving Minnesota and we're not keeping Kevin, he can come right down the road. I'll take Brian Flores here. I'd love that. You want to talk about a culture change? Brian Flores is the guy that'll give you that.
See, the thing is, though, boys, Flores he's a type A. He's a dog. Okay. Jimmy Haslam doesn't want a dog. I had Greg Williams. You remember Greg Williams, defensive coordinator, longtime defensive coordinator, interim head coach for the Browns. I had him speak to the St. Ed's football team on Wednesday before their playoff game Friday. They could have kept Coach Williams. Coach Williams is a dog. He'll get in your ass. You guys saw him on Hard Knocks. Guys weren't performing, and he was MFing them in front of everybody in the locker room. Being humiliated could be a hell of a motivator. You get up somebody's ass. That's the kind of guy we need. Flores, I don't know if he's to that extreme. Flores will be your coach. He'll coddle you when needed, but he'll also boot you in the ass. I don't think Jimmy Haslam wants to bring in a type A dog or alpha type coach. I truly don't.
That makes me very sad to hear.
Sorry. And you know what? Would you want to work for Jerry Jones if Mike McCarthy's out in Big D? I don't think Jerry Jones wants to hire a guy like Flores isn't going to take any of his crap. That guy, as Bill Parcells would say, buys all the groceries. The coaching staff doesn't have any say in what personnel's coming in or who they're going to draft on draft day. It's Jerry and Steven, point blank.
Eric seems to agree with you. Haslam wants a yes man.
Who agrees with me?
Eric Dunlap. Comments coming in here. Thanks, Eric, for popping in. By the way.
Yes, sir.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up because we got a lot of gambling to get to. But I got one more question. Kind of the big one. Any advice for this next generation, guys like me, Evo, who are finding different avenues into the space, sports fans, people that want to be broadcasters, how they can kind of, things that they can do to make their way into the business?
Well, I'll tell you, boys, I don't want to say it's the way of the future because it's currently happening. Podcasts are it. You guys are doing the right thing. I mean, look at Rogan crushing it. Okay, and he's been crushing it now for 10 years with this podcast, maybe even more. I can't remember specifically when he went on the air, but print journalism is a thing of the past. I mean, newspapers, heck, in Cleveland, I think we only get the Cleveland Plain Dealer 4 days a week now. It used to be daily. We used to have 2 newspapers in this town. I remember when Jay Mariotti left the Chicago Tribune in 05 or 06, and he went to Yahoo Sports. He started writing for the internet. I'm thinking, man, is he crazy? He's got a great gig. Well, lo and behold, we have seen what has happened to the newspaper industry. So many big papers have gone by the wayside. Now, what I do, broadcast journalism, it's a tough field to get into. I mean, you only have a few number of companies nationwide, and there aren't a lot of jobs. I think podcasts and what you guys are doing right now is the way to go. The only problem is.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. We lost Carmen.
Lost Carmen.
Right there at the good part. We'll try to get him back here. Oh.
But either way, this is awesome to hear from him. Someone, who's kind of like a legend there in the Cleveland sports media space. So it's really cool to hear all this information, especially for you, Mike, going to school to do all this sort of stuff and helping promote our Lineman Lounge brand, the No Sleeves Network, and everything, and kind of build up. It's awesome to be able to hear that you are taking some of the right steps, that we are taking some of the right steps in order to kind of grow the brand and become bigger in this space. So that's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah. So when all of this kind of started, we started this in Arizona. Well, I guess I started this in Arizona. It's just me. You came along not too far into it. And we started kind of working into the space. It was a lot of fun. But when I made that decision to leave Arizona and pursue this idea fully, was a huge, it's scary as shit because there's no way to know if any of this is going to work out in the end or not. Left a great place, great job with a lot of great people down there in Arizona. But to chase this dream, to find a way to, get into sports media, it's been a journey for sure to, kind of go from where I was to where I am now. So Carmen, you were saying, sorry about that.
No idea what happened, but we're back.
Me neither. But you were saying about, it kind of seems like we are doing the right thing. We're on the right track and where we're going.
Absolutely. 100%. And anybody that has similar questions as the two of you, follow the path, the same path, because podcasts are going to grow even bigger and better, in my opinion, and more in demand.
All right. And Carmen, last thing, if you know of any of those internships laying around, I'm probably going to be looking for one coming this summer. So you let me know.
One thing, unfortunately, I can tell you is that iHeart did away with our internship program about 10 years ago. So my apologies.
That's okay. It's all right. I will not hold that against
wait
you.
a second. You're connected to Jim Kaler. You got
that is very true.
I'm sure he can land you guys an internship somewhere.
Yeah. So I've already had one with the Browns as a salesperson.
Oh my God, here I am, not speaking too fondly of your old boss.
Oh no, it's okay. I did not work directly for Jimmy. I worked for the Cleveland Browns Foundation through Cleveland State as an internship. So I didn't technically work for them. So, however, I do have credentials upstairs that are pretty cool.
There you go. I don't think I'll ever be credentialed, but that's okay.
Not if you keep talking like that about Jimmy, you're not.
Well, this is nothing I haven't said on the air. So, yeah, I highly doubt I'm ever going to get a credential for the Browns, but that's okay. And my phone's ringing. I am an idiot. Hold on. This is a guy who's a big back. Hey, I'm doing a podcast right now with the Lineman Lounge. You told me you would call me back a half hour ago, and that was 7:30 this morning. I'll call you back later. I got to ask you about the game. Sorry, boys.
There we go. Thank you, God.
Life, man. This is no bullshit.
Oh, man. Well, all right, Evo, are we ready to transition? We're going to change gears here. We're going to tear this thing up a little bit. I'm going to crack this fucking beer, and let's bet on some football. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good, man. Let's jump into it. So we're going to look at two of our big games to start off the day, a morning game and an afternoon game. Big morning game today, Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Big time game there for AFC North. In this matchup, if a team is favorited by 3 or more points, they are 2-18 against the spread. All right. As of right now, Baltimore is the favorite in this one, going into Pittsburgh -3 at -120 odds. You can give those points to the Pittsburgh Steelers, +3 at -102 odds. Harbaugh, his 0-10-2 against Tomlin as a favorite, and Lamar is 1-3 versus Pittsburgh straight up. This is not a great matchup for this Ravens team, even though I think most people would believe that they're the better team out of this matchup.
So I don't know if they are the better team at this point in the season, because here's the thing. This Pittsburgh team, their defense has been good, been consistent all year. TJ Watt has been an absolute fucking dog and is wreaking havoc. And now that they have Russell Wilson in, this offense is starting to look like a professional offense. They can control the tempo. They can throw it past the sticks, get a first down anytime they want. This is a complete football team right now in the Steelers, and I fucking hate saying that because they're the Steelers. But they look, with Russell Wilson, like they are legit. They should be leading the AFC North, and they fucking are. Now, Lamar obviously causes all sorts of problems, but in my opinion, the better team truly is right now the Pittsburgh Steelers. Carmen, what do you got?
Oh, I got it. And I hate to say it too, but I respect the daylights out of Mike Tomlin. I mean, there's a guy, when we talk about dogs, alpha males, you know, a guy that's not their friend, but those guys respect the daylights out of him and love him. The Steelers getting points at home. Are you kidding me? That Baltimore defense is a sieve. I believe Marlon Humphrey's still out. Their other corner's still out. Kyle Hamilton, he might be out today. And we saw what Jameis Winston did against them. Now, granted, they dropped 3 balls that Jameis threw right to him. But that defense is a sieve. And with Russell Wilson, and I mean, George Pickens is the happiest man in Pittsburgh right now because he's got a guy that can get him the ball a little bit. And I got Pickens on my fantasy team, so I'm looking for a huge day from him, from Russell, and the fact the Steelers are getting points at home, you got to, and I'm not a big gambler, but you got to bank, you got to roll the Steelers today.
I'm right there with you, Carmen. I'm on Steelers +3. Evo, what you got?
Same, Steelers +3. You got a good defense. The home team is getting points. They're the dogs at home. I just don't see it. The Ravens defense, like Carmen brought up, they are beat up in the secondary. They haven't been as, like, we're used to that Ravens defense being very, very good for the past couple decades. They're not the same defense this year, especially in the secondary. Russ Wilson is probably going to be able to continue cooking. I mean, he's cooked against some lesser teams, lesser defenses, but this is another defense that isn't performing top tier. I think they're going to have a good day. I will take the Steelers plus the points in this one.
All right. So real quick before we start diving into the next game, Evo, I forgot to pop it up there for the people. Games. All right, so I took the Commanders on Thursday night. You took the Eagles. Hey, you finally got a Thursday night game right. We're starting with the Steelers. Last week, I go 8-6. You went 5-9 for the season. I am 77-75. You are 70-82. Hey, off to a good start with Thursday night, brother. You got a lot of work to get back to at least that 500 mark. But, hey, everybody's been getting killed this year. Books have been murdering people. Let's turn it around.
I'm telling you, the spreads have not been my friend this year at all.
You went from being able, you were at like 66, 67% last year when we were including money lines down to, I think you're like at 46% right now.
Yeah, I'm working my way uphill right now. Looking to probably, I would say, our best game of the day in the afternoon slate. Kansas City going out to Buffalo, the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs going into Buffalo. It's always been a good matchup between Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes. As of right now, the Chiefs are the underdogs in this one. And it makes a little bit of sense when you think hey, they almost lost to the Broncos last week. It took a blocked field goal there at the end for them to get that win. But Kansas City right now being the underdog of, I believe, 2.5 points. You can give 2.5 points to the Kansas City Chiefs for -115 odds, or you can drop the 2.5 for Buffalo -105 odds. This is a tough spot to be in. Mahomes is an underdog, just always fucking wins. When Kansas City is favored, they struggle to cover. But as that underdog, Mahomes is 12-1-1 as an underdog. The Buffalo defense is ranked 20th in receiving yards. They're giving up an average of 123 rushing yards per game. Pacheco isn't going to be back for the Chiefs, but Kareem Hunt has been doing great things for him. They're starting to make things click a little bit more with that Chiefs offense, and the Chiefs defense is obviously extremely good. Amari Cooper expected to play in this game as well, but Dalton Kincaid is going to be out. Dawson Knox expected to have a bigger game for that Buffalo Bills team. It's a tough spot. Like, this is, everyone I think wants to see someone knock the Chiefs off. Mm-hmm. And we know the Bills can be a really good team. Do they have the gusto today to make that happen?
I think so. I think they're good enough. Listen, the Chiefs have been scuffling to beat teams that they should easily beat. I understand this Broncos team is better than we thought they were, but they're not that fucking good. Like, the Chiefs should have lost that game if it's not for absolutely terrible technique on the offensive line during the field goal block. The protection was atrocious. So the Chiefs are getting closer and closer to losing. This is going to be the best team that they have played in the Bills. Josh Allen has been fantastic all year. I know you like a big day from Josh Allen. I like one from him as well. I got the Bills -2.5 here, man. I understand the Chiefs are still undefeated. It might be a little bit of a slap in the face that they're dogs as an undefeated team, but they got to go up to Buffalo. It's cold. It's going to be kind of a mad day there weather-wise. Give me Josh Allen doing superhero things and the Bills -2.5. Carmen, what you got?
Bills Mafia is going to be half in the wrapper. They're going to be buckled. They're going to be going out of their minds, all lit up. I love the Bills at home. You're looking at a Chiefs team. It's 9-0. All good things got to come to an end. And Josh Allen, he's to me one of the top quarterbacks in the league. But he wants to outdo his boy Pat Mahomes today, and he wants to get that coveted W. They've had trouble against them, and I got to go with the Bills.
And as much as my heart tells me I want the Bills in this one, I'm actually going to give the points to the Kansas City Chiefs just based off of how Mahomes has performed as an underdog. I expect this to possibly become a shootout. Over under a 46.5 points here. I would love to see the over on this one. It's going to be an exciting game for everybody.
What if it comes down to a field goal, though? I mean, they're without Harrison Butker now, one of the best in the game.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's a concern. That's another reason why I'm leaning with the Bills.
Makes absolute sense. And that's like I said, I really want to root for the Bills in this one. I want to see the Bills win. Hopefully it ends up being like a 30-31 game or something like that, and the Bills get that W. But the 2.5 works out for me. We'll see.
And I believe the odds are favoring taking the Chiefs. Isn't Vegas giving you like -114 on that?
It's a -112 odds for the Chiefs, -108 for
slight edge, barely any edge off the -110.
Yeah, and realistically, if you're going to be taking the Chiefs plus the points here, I would just take the money line. It's +114 odds to take Chiefs money line. That would be the route I would go if you're going to favor the Chiefs in this one.
Evo, you said you believe it's going to be a 31-30 game, right?
It's something close like that, hopefully. Yeah, I would.
Maybe the best bet is busting the over.
Yeah.
Right? Over bet sounds really nice because I could see this absolutely being a shootout as long as the wind doesn't get whipping up there too much in Buffalo.
Yeah, then it becomes a ground and pound game. We'll see a little bit of Ray Davis, James Cook versus Kareem Hunt, and Carson Steele, whatnot they got going up there. But all right, we'll move back into our morning slate of games. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars going out to Detroit. Big spread here, boys. -13.5 points for the Detroit Lions, -112 odds. You can give those points to Jacksonville for -108 odds. Mac Jones starting again. Trevor Lawrence out with that shoulder injury. Also, Tank Bigsby, the running back for Jaguars, is going to be out in this one. Jared Goff coming off of a 5 interception game. Previous to that, he had only thrown or had 4 turnovers, leading up into that game. Now, one of those picks was a Hail Mary, which I don't really count against him. I don't count a majority of these interceptions against him either. I mean, some bad decision making, but there were tipped balls and whatnot. You also have Sam Laporta being out in this game. Expect Brock Wright to come in for the Lions, play tight end. He's looked good for them as well, but realistically, this Lions team is that dual threat running game. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, and efficiency from a Dan Campbell-led team. I completely expect the Lions to win this one, but 13.5 points, that is a steep spread there.
Yeah.
That's
13.5 is a shitload of points, but there's no team in the NFL that I trust more to drop that amount of points right now than the fucking Lions. The Lions are the best team in football, and the Jags are dog shit. They are hot dog water. They are terrible, and they don't care what level you want to go to. They're bad at football. They have their backup quarterback starting, their backup running back, who should have been their number one, and thinks Bigsby will be out, so they're turning back to Etienne, who has not had a good year. So the Lions can win this by 2 touchdowns easily because I don't think the Jags are going to score any fucking points. This Lions defense is going to be flying all over the place. They could win this thing 28-0. They could easily blank the Jags. So I'm dropping the points for the Lions. Most teams I'm not doing this for, but the Lions for sure, because they'll control the game the entire time with those 2 running backs.
Boys, I concur. I think this is going to be a 41-10 game. It's going to be an absolute rout. It's going to be a waste of time to even tune that one in. Well, I mean, they say any given Sunday, somebody can shock the world, but I just don't see it. I mean, how would you like to be Doug Peterson? He's got a mess down there, and how much longer is he going to be around? So I'd freaking hammer the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell.
The last time that the Lions favored by this much was just a couple weeks ago when they played the Titans. And what do? They put up 52 points on them, 52 to 14. Like, they were able to hang that sort of number on them. Jared Goff, that you're talking about the outlier of outlier games with that many turnovers. He's been nothing but efficient this entire year. I see a big bounce back. I think that they're going to get ahead early, and then it's going to develop into just a run, control the ball type of game. I think the 13.5 points also makes sense in this one. It scares me taking those big spreads, but I'm going to drop the points for the Lions as well in this one.
All right, here we go.
All righty. Next up, another NFC North matchup here. Green Bay Packers going into Chicago. Packers are favored -5.5 points at -115 odds. You can give those points to the Bears for -105 odds. New head coach, should be a new head coach for the Bears, but not yet. Eberflus is still the guy there. They replaced the offensive coordinator. Thomas Brown, former Chiefs, God, I can't talk. Carolina offensive coordinator going in there. He ended up taking over part way through the year last year. Thomas Brown, former running back. So he is definitely more run game focused. It was just an embarrassing game last week for this Bears team. They needed to make a swap. Eberflus, I think, would have been the smarter swap just because I don't think he's the guy there long term. But they're going up against a Green Bay team that has looked pretty good, especially against the run. I think that's going to be what this game is going to be about, the run game. Green Bay kind of just running it down the throat of these Chicago Bears. Where you got this one?
Oh, man, listen, I called for Eberflus's firing last week when we did this show. I was like, what do you asked me what I got? I was like, I got Eberflus getting fired, which I thought he should have been fired after the display that we saw last week. I thought for sure it was happening. They got smacked. I think they're going to get smacked again. So I'm once again calling what I expect is the firing of Eberflus after this week because they're going to get fucking smacked.
I totally concur. I mean, I know they're getting 5.5 at home, but they're an unmitigated disaster right now. And like you, Michael, I'm surprised Eberflus is still hanging on there. I got to go the other way and give up those 5.5. I just don't think Chicago can compete.
Yeah. And Carmen, I'm a big Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm from Minnesota. I hate the Green Bay Packers. So this really just tears me down to do this, but I have to drop the points here. I expected this to be a larger number, closer to 7.5. Like, the Bears defense has shown to be good at points this year. Their offense, a couple weeks ago, were actually putting up some points as well, but I'm seeing just bonehead plays. And that's why the offensive coordinator got fired. That's why Waldron's not there anymore. They're doing bonehead stuff like pitching the ball in the red zone. It's typically not a good play unless you have an extremely stout run offense. And they don't have that. For a majority of the year, they haven't had that. You've seen DeAndre Swift pop a couple games, but it's just terrible offensive play calling from this Bears team. In addition to Caleb Williams, I mean, think we've all seen the talent that he has, but he's just holding on to the ball too long. I think the game is way too quick for him right now.
Oh, bingo. It's way too fast.
His progression is being destroyed by what they were doing on offense, though. He has dudes, like 4 fucking guys within 10 yards of each other, and 2 guys are guarding them. He doesn't know where to go because the offensive design is so gross. So, I mean, they have to do something. They had to do something because Caleb, listen, we have some warts on Caleb for sure. Tries to make way too many big plays, but they were not doing him any fucking favors. And I don't think that's going to change until they bring in a new coach that is dedicated that I'm going to get Caleb Williams right. They're going to bring in an offensive guy that is designed to make Caleb Williams go. And that's not there now.
Guys, Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. Look over the years. Mitchell Trubisky was their first pick in 17? And his career is essentially over. When was the last time Chicago has had a good to great quarterback? You got to go back to Jim McMahon, right?
Yeah, like the closest argument that you could make is Cutler after he went there from Denver. But even Cutler was wild,
At times Cutler was like Pepperidge Farms. He was a turnover factory. He threw a lot of interceptions.
Nice. I like that. That was good.
So I actually got here. Bears first round quarterbacks for the last 10 years. 2017 drafted Mitchell Trubisky, 2nd overall. Next year they fired Coach John Fox. You've got Justin Fields drafted 11th overall in 2021. They fired Matt Nagy after that season, and now they've drafted Caleb Williams. Eberflus probably gone after this year. He's going to
get fired.
It feels like they are putting the cart before the horse with this, though. They've got an opportunity to go after someone like a Harbaugh this offseason who, would be dedicated to that team since he played for him and would be good for a quarterback development. They just kind of whiffed on that one. That's one of the big things I think that Chicago has made a mistake in here. But yes, I am taking Green Bay, dropping the points in this one, just to be clear. And I hate saying that. It pains my heart. All right, next up, we have the LA Rams going into New England versus the Patriots. Rams are favored in this one, -4.5 points. Patriots, you can give them the points for -115 odds or drop them with the Rams for -105 odds. Rams just looked really terrible in prime time this last week. I don't think that they lost the game to Miami as much as like they beat themselves in this one. Because Miami didn't look great, but the Rams just looked really bad after having a good streak of games. They're getting some of those offensive playmakers back in Puka and Cooper Kupp. They got 2 of their starting offensive linemen back. I think that they just need a little bit more time to gel there on the offense because we know that Rams team with Stafford, he can put up some points with those offensive playmakers. And New England just kind of outperformed last week, but I expect kind of a fall back to earth in this one. This is another one of those that I felt like the spread should have been larger. I'm not a fan of that Rams defense. I think I've made that clear over all of our shows, but the offense is capable. They are very well coached. So I'm just going to come out. I'm dropping the points for the Rams in this one. New England had 9 sacks last week versus the Bears. That's an outlier. They're going against a Bears team that was absolutely dysfunctional. They had 16 sacks in all other previous games this year. So big outlier. Don't pay attention to that. And don't overreact to such a bad game from the Rams. I'm taking them in this one.
Carmen, go ahead.
I got to go with Stafford and the Rams. Against my better judgment, I got Stevenson going for me today in my fantasy league, but New England is just a shell of what it obviously was 5-6 years ago, and I've got no faith in them. I mean, I love Drake May. I think he's going to be a stud, but today's going to be a different story. I got to go with the Rams.
Yeah, it's going to be a clean sweep, guys. We're all going Rams -4.5. I like Drake May a lot. Evo, I don't know if you saw it. Barstool hired Gruden. Gruden loves Drake May.
Likes him better than
Caleb Williams. Yeah. Yes. So I'm very excited for Drake May. I think he'll be very good. I hope the Patriots suck for a little while, though, because they could use about 5 or 6 years of sucking before they get good again. But the Rams.
We're a couple years into that. We're a couple years into that.
Well, we got a couple more, I think, because they're not there. They have so much. They're bereft of talent. But the Rams have talent. They just need to get back, get healthy. This team was supposed to be competitive in the NFC. I think they could still be competing for a wild card spot there at the end, maybe that 7 seed. But they need a win this week. I think they get that done, and I think they do it in convincing fashion because last week was an outlier. The Patriots team took on a Bears team that was just – they're falling apart. And if they fall apart again this week, Eberflus has got to be fired, or you're going to lose the entire locker room.
Yeah, absolutely.
You cannot keep doing it.
All righty. Next up, your Cleveland Brownies going into New Orleans. Right now, the Browns are favored -1.5. I might be mistaken. I felt like earlier in the week that New Orleans was favored in this one.
I believe they were favored early by 1.5, and then it flipped.
It has flipped now. Browns favored -0.5 at -110 odds, or you can give those points to the Saints. Is this the Dan Rizzi boost that's giving that people thinking that the Saints are going to be a little bit better? I don't know. I don't expect the Dan Rizzi move into the head coach spot is going to be that big of an impact going forward. Derek Carr, terrible as a favorite, doesn't work anymore because the points have flipped on this one. But I'm not trusting in Derek Carr. It was a lot of blown coverages for the Browns defense going up against the Chargers in the last game. Otherwise, that game was a lot closer, I think, than the score indicates. You're also looking at your guys' defense and the Brownies being really damn good, going up against MVS as the top receiving option for the Saints and Kamara. That's like who you have to defend against. And I feel like you guys should be able to defend against that situation. Also, a good day for Nick Chubb to kind of pop. Like, he's been playing. He's gotten a little bit more rushing yards each game, but he's going against the Saints defense that is 31st in rushing DVOA. It's about time for Nick Chubb to have himself a good game. At a 1.5, this is pretty damn close to a pick 'em. I'm dropping the points for the Brownies, the 1.5 in this one. I know a lot of people, for whatever reason, are on the Saints in this game in the research I've done beforehand. And I think it's because they saw a little bit of life out of them last week, but against a Falcons team that, in their division, but divisional games get played pretty damn close anyways. I'm just not on the Saints team at all. I know that your Brownies have your issues and everything like that, but give me your guys' defense and some Cedric Tillman action.
Yeah. So it looks like Carmen is shaking his head. So I will let Carmen ruin everybody's parade because, Evo, I agree with you. The Browns are not better than a lot of teams. Most teams were not better than them. But right now, I believe that we are better than the Saints. And it's not by a lot, but we are better than the Saints because they don't have anybody that they can throw the fucking ball to. Because Derek Carr keeps throwing hospital balls, and he keeps getting his guys hurt.
The Saints lost to the Panthers. They're dead to me. They're dead to me.
I think that we are better than the Saints. It's not by a lot. It's not by a lot. But I think that we are better than the Saints because they should not be able to throw the ball against a Brown secondary that, as long as they know what fucking play we're running, can perform pretty well.
Yeah. Listen, I know the Saints are softer than puppy shit. I get it, but we're the Cleveland Browns, bro. It ain't happening. Who dey? I gotta go with the Saints.
Oh, Carmen, you had to do it.
I've got no faith, man. I've been following it since we've had this ownership group since 2012. I mean, there is nothing, and I know, Nick could pop a couple of big ones, and today's his opportunity against, a terrible run defense. Somehow the Saints it's gonna be the Saints defense as Sam Mills and those guys back in the mid to late 80s. I can't pick the Browns. And you know what, boys? I know you recap things on Tuesday night, right?
Yep.
If you want, I'll come back. If I have to eat crow, I'll come back on Tuesday night. You guys just let me know.
All right. We can absolutely make that happen.
All right.
I have a question since we're on the Browns, and I only get to hear mostly one Brown perspective from Mike here on Sundays and Tuesdays, and whenever we text throughout the week. Your thoughts going forward with this team? Obviously, I know you have your thoughts on the ownership and the coaching that we've already kind of discussed, but the quarterback position is, most important position on the field. Deshaun Watson is probably going to be with this team because of the contract situation. You can't get rid of him, but that doesn't mean that he has to start. What do you think the path forward is for this Browns team? Should they be going out drafting a quarterback high this season? Do you think it's got to be like a reset year next year and then go after someone like an Arch Manning, hopefully in the future? Where do you think they should go?
Well, I think short term, I mean, if I'd throw DTR back there. Why the hell not? I mean, the guy was a 4th round pick. See what he can do. I know he had a little taste earlier in the season. I can't remember who it was against. He got that start, no, he didn't get a start. He came in
for Watson when he tore the Achilles.
Yeah, came in for Watson when he tore the Achilles. We got nothing to lose. Throw him out there. We might have a hidden gem. I mean, he's a hell of an athlete, and at some point, you're going to have to draft a quarterback. I'm eating the salary, taking the $73 million cap hit. We lost so much draft capital with the picks that we have moving forward the next couple of years. We've got to hit. We're not going to be able to sign any free agents, but yeah, you do have to try and find a quarterback. And I'll tell you one thing: Deion's son's not coming here. There is no way Deion would never let his son come here.
Cam Ward or bust here in Cleveland. If we're taking a quarterback this year, Cam Ward's our only option.
Do you see what Cam Ward did for his offensive line and that bling he got each one of them?
I did not, but it sounds like Cam Ward, a good guy, takes care of his linemen, which we love here on the Lineman Lounge.
Yeah. He bought them all rocked up necklaces with their numbers in diamonds, and I think he paid just shy of $2 million for. Yeah,
that NIL deal is working for him.
No shit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
My son will be very happy to know that the linemen are getting some drip, though. If I have to hear him say the word drip one more time when we're talking about linemen.
How old are you, Mike?
I am 36.
All right, you're 36. I'm 56. I mean, I'm drippy and I got mad riz, yo. I'm down.
Yeah, there we go, Carmen.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. My son's a sophomore at St. Ed's, and when I'm picking him up and I'm driving him and all his boys around, I bust off some of that lingo, and my son's just embarrassed as shit. And all his dudes are laughing their asses off. They think I'm hipper than a minifig. You know what I'm saying, yo?
Boy,
there we go. We go.
Have you said skibbity toilet yet?
No, I haven't said skibbity toilet, but I have said I got shit on lock. I don't know what that means, but maybe you guys could help me. But skibbity toilet,
I still don't know what it means. Apparently, it doesn't have a meaning, according to my son.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even attempt it. Look, a lot of the students that I get coming through the schoolhouse here are, that 18, 19 years old, and they start to say some stupid stuff. Thankfully, being around the military, you can just tell them, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, we're using military jargon now. You're growing up.
Here we go. Yeah. Right. Oh, man. Yeah. The hard-hitting stuff here on the Lineman Lounge. Evo, we ready for the next game, brother?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're going into my game. My Minnesota Vikings going out the second game of their 3-game road trip to the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis expected to be the starter in this one. Vikings are favored -5.5 points at -120 odds. You can give the 5.5 to the Titans for -102. Look, Vikings, terrible game last week. We got the win, and it was all off the leg of John Parker Romo, the kicker that we had in at camp. Had to bring him in because Reichard is on IR for a couple weeks. But at the end of the day, the offense did not look good. Sam Darnold has thrown 5 picks in his last 2 games. He's looking a little bit more like Sam Darnold of old. But I told you, Mike, when I was watching this game, it felt like Kevin O'Connell was saying, hey, just keep pushing it. Sooner or later, the defense is going to be able to hold this offense back.
Well, when you're playing the Jags, you can fucking do that.
He's like, just keep doing it. Just keep going for it. And last week was a bit of an outlier week in general. I mean, you saw Goff throw 5 picks. You're seeing all sorts of crazy turnovers in these games, more than it felt, at least watching the games, more turnovers than normal. I don't know if there's any sort of correlation there. I expect a bounce back week from my Vikings offensively. The defense, I'm not scared about them holding up their end of the bargain at all, especially against a Will Levis. B-Flow is able to dial up all sorts of crazy stuff. He's probably going to be confusing Will Levis with mayonnaise packets and stuff like that. It's all Vikings for me in this one. The line previously was a little bit larger as well. I think it was -6.5 or so. for the Vikings at -5.5. I'll drop the points for my Vikings here. I expect a bounce back on offense from my team this week.
All right, brother, I love you. I pick your Vikings damn near every week, but I'm not doing it this week. And it's not because I don't think you're going to win. I believe you will win. But you guys have been playing everybody really, really fucking close.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold has had a problem with turnovers here recently. I believe Kevin O'Connell is going to probably pull the reins back a little bit. Almost losing a game to the Jags is bad. He's going to pull the reins. I expect a run-heavy day from your Vikings, and we know that the Titans are also a run-heavy team. This game's going to be really shortened, condensed game. Because of that, I'm not expecting a lot of points, so I'm going to give the points to the Titans. I think that your team is going to end up winning, but they're going to win by 3-4 points, maybe 5 points in a weird score. But 5.5 is too much. I know that you guys have been really good. I just don't think that this game it's not going to play that kind of a game script. I expect a slow, grinded out style game. Part of my Lineman Lounge parlay kind of tells that tale as well. So that's where I'm going. I'm going with the Titans plus the 5.5.
I got to agree. I think they're going to be run heavy, like you said, Mike. And I'm looking at a 17-14 or 17-13 game in favor of the Vikings. So obviously I got to take Tennessee with those points. I think it's going to be a grind them out, hat on hat, not boring game, but a physical game, and they're just going to want to reduce the chances for error by Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold, I've never been a fan of his. I thought when he was in college that he was easily confused. I know that Beeflo is probably going to, as you said, confuse the hell out of Will Levis. Sam Darnold is a guy that he's got more issues than Time Magazine back there. I mean, he can't read a defense, and if you walk a few guys up, he doesn't know who's coming, and he's prone to make mistakes. So I think it's going to be a heavy dose of the running game by Minnesota, and they're going to win by 3 or 4 points. So I would put my money on Tennessee.
All right.
Yep, and I don't disagree with any of that. I'm really just hoping in my plums that we see an offensive spark because we haven't seen it the past 3-4 weeks from this Vikings team. Next up, we have the Raiders going out to Miami. Miami's favored in this one, 8.5 points. Big spread here as well.
When the fuck did that change? Because I got it at 7 this morning.
Yeah, it has had a lot of movement here. Miami -8.5 at -106 odds. The Raiders, you can give them the points for -114 odds. Yeah, a lot of movement in this one. I didn't expect that. Raiders have covered 8 of their last 13, 5 of their last 8 road games. They're as bad as the Raiders have been. They've been close in covering in a lot of these games. Miami, they're 0-4 against the spread at home this year. That's both with Tua and without. Raiders coming off of bye, Miami coming off of Monday Night Football game, which again, I don't think Miami necessarily won that game. It was more so the Rams beat themselves. I got to take the points in this one now that it's gotten even bigger. I'm going Raiders plus 8.5. I don't really like a whole lot about this Raiders team, but just the way that they've been playing this year, they've been playing teams closer. And when you're going to give me that many points versus a Miami offense that has not been clicking, even with Tua back, they've looked better, but they aren't looking like the Dolphins of last year. Like you said, Jalen Waddle's basically been a ghost out there. Tyreek is injured, possibly talking about getting surgery and going the rest of the year on IR because of how bad this team is. Like, if you're giving me 8.5 for the Raiders, yeah, I'm taking it.
I gotta agree. This is, Tua, obviously he just came back. Tyreek's playing with that torn ligament in his wrist. He does say, though, he's not going to have surgery. He's going to tough it out the rest of the way. He said that, I believe, on Friday, and he's just a shell of himself. His first game of the year, he had 100 yards. He hasn't touched, I think, 70 since. And 8.5, that's a lot of points. I got to go with Vegas.
Yeah, it's another clean sweep here, guys. I go Vegas as well. This morning, when I put everything together, I have Dolphins -7 as part of my full slate parlay. But now that it's moved and we're doing it for the show, I got to take it at plus 8.5. That's too many. It's just that line movement is crazy to me. It's moved 1.5 points since I set this up at fucking 10 o'clock this morning. So Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders plus 8.5.
You know what? I mean, we should probably look at the inactives. Somebody of great importance probably is inactive unexpectedly.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to pull up here and see what I'm missing. I'm not seeing any crazy inactive changes since when I looked at this earlier for these games. But yeah, to see
Michael
a point and a half
Mayer's
moving.
active. I mean, you got Cody Whitehead. There's nobody from the Raiders that's screaming like a 1.5 swing. If Michael Mayer's not active, then I would be worried because he's their offense.
Yeah. Regardless, I gotta take the 8.5.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts going out to New York versus the Green Bay / New York Jets. Jets are favored in this one, -4.5 points at -106 odds. You can give those points to the Colts for -114 odds. You have Strange Steichen coming out midweek after having said Joe Flacco's their guy for the rest of the year, and they are putting Richardson back out there now as the starter. AR-15 is the guy in Indianapolis who is expected to start the rest of the year. I think that's a signal that the Colts know that they are done. They're out this year now. We just need to keep playing this guy, give him reps, give him chances to grow. That can happen. Not so sure. Like the arm talent, obviously, strength is there, but the accuracy is just really rough. That's basically it for me in this game. If AR's starting, going up against a Jets defense, which has a very good secondary, like it's got to be a ground game for the Colts all day. It's got to be Jonathan Taylor, and I don't know that doesn't lend itself to a higher scoring game. I'm going to drop the points for the Jets here. Again, hate the Packers, so I in turn hate the Jets because of this and Aaron Rodgers. So I don't like doing this, but I have to drop the points for the Jets here. As anemic as the Jets have been overall, I think the Colts are not in a good spot with Richardson starting.
Go ahead, Carmen.
Totally agree. Richardson, just tremendous athlete. Potential upside is huge, but going into MetLife, I got to go with the Jets and obviously give those points up.
I'm going the other way because fuck Aaron Rodgers and fuck the Jets. Every week, man. Every fucking week that I pick them, they don't win. Every fucking week that I don't pick them, they do win. Evo, you need a game here. I'm trying to boost you back up because it doesn't matter what I pick.
You're doing it for me.
Doing it for you, bro.
Okay.
Doing it for you. Every week I pick these assholes wrong. It doesn't matter what I pick. It does not fucking matter what I pick. I get it wrong. The goddamn Jets and I do not get along. So I'm going to take the Colts. I'm going to hope that Anthony Richardson catches lightning in a bottle for a week because I know it won't happen consistently. He has an under 50% completion percentage, but he's a crazy, crazy athlete. I just got to hope he can do it for this week. So that's what I'm going with because fuck the Jets. I get him wrong every week.
That is the type of Lineman Lounge sports betting analysis.
JETS, fuck the Jets.
That's right. There we go.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to move into our afternoon slate of games here. We have Seattle going into San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey back, healthy, allegedly. We should see what happens there. San Francisco is favored -5.5 points at -118 odds. You can give those points to the Seahawks for -104 odds. Seahawks, they're 1-5 in their last 6. They started the year 3-0, but they have just kind of been tumbling since then. George Kittle not expected to play in this game. That's a big loss for the 49ers. But they do have a full complement otherwise of offensive weapons. They got their running back situation kind of figured out there. They've got McCaffrey. They've got Garendo. They've got Mason. You've got Debo playing. Jawan Jennings has looked good when he's had to go out there and start. Ricky Pearsall got that first touchdown. They've got other offensive weapons to throw to. And flip side, Seattle Seahawks have just kind of been tumbling since. DK Metcalf should be back out there for this one, I believe, which will provide a little bit of a boost. But this has always been a tight, close rivalry game. Do you think dropping that is enough for the 49ers, or is that too much? Because, again, these teams are a rivalry. They tend to play pretty close.
Where is it at right now? Is it still 6.5?
It's -5.5 for San Fran in San Francisco.
So I gave up 6.5 this morning. This is another line that moved. So, yes, I feel confident the 49ers can drop 5.5. I know that the Seahawks and the 49ers are a division rivalry. They play close games. The Seahawks have been taking a fucking nosedive. and the 49ers are starting to feel like catch a stride. They're getting healthy. McCaffrey should be back, healthy to go. I would love to see them work multiple backs into their system, keep McCaffrey, fresh, play him maybe out of the slot a little bit, use this offense in some fun, dynamic ways because they can blow the doors off the Seattle team, who is not a bad team, but they're not a good team. They're just a very middling team, and I think that the 49ers are supposed to be good. We just haven't seen good 49ers yet because of injuries.
I got to go. I know it's a rivalry game. I got to go with the Niners, too. I think they're going to win this game by 10 points. And CMC's back, obviously. And Jennings. I think Jennings is going to have another very good game. I mean, he returned from that hip injury last week, and I think he had 9 for over 90 yards. So look out for him. I think they roll.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are going to win this one. The tough spot for me is that the 49ers just haven't put anyone away this year. Looking earlier in the season,
they got all the bullets in the chamber, though. I mean, they're without Kittle, but they got more bullets in the chamber now than they've had all season.
It's true. It's true. And the other thing here is that the Seahawks and 49ers have already played. They played in Seattle, and the 49ers were able to win 36-24, a 12-point spread in that one. Now they're getting that little bit of a boost being at home and having a larger complement of weapons. So I am going to drop the points as well here for the 49ers. But just because they haven't been playing people as much, like they had not been getting those big spreads as much this year, it gives me a little bit of pause. If I could bet the money line on this one, I would bet money line on the 49ers easy. But we'll drop the points in this one. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons going out to Denver. Denver is favored in this one at home, minus 1.5. You can give that 1.5 to the Falcons for minus 108 odds. You've got a very good defense here for this Denver team that almost beat the undefeated Chiefs last week. And they're only getting 1.5 or dropping 1.5 here to this Falcons team. Falcons, I think, I don't know if there's much of an argument. I think that they might be the worst division leader in football. They're 6-4. I don't think that they are as good as that record kind of shows. Yes, we've seen some good things from Kirk Cousins, but he still is a traffic cone. He still is just sits back there. He's also a little bit banged up. And you have a Denver Broncos team, specifically that defense, that is getting after it. They're third in the league in sacks. That's going to play into their favor big time today with Cousins just kind of being stagnant back there. And the Falcons defense, they're giving up 129 yards on average per game on the ground. You have a full complement of running backs there with Denver now after Audric Estime showed up last week and became almost like the lead back. You've got 3 guys there that can run the ball. Sean Payton is going to be able to kind of mix and match however he wants to. And he's been doing good things with Bo Nix. You've seen Cortland Sutton kind of pop off the last 3 weeks. I like Denver in this game. I like them by a lot more than 1.5. I would be going closer to 3.5 points for this one. Denver beating the Falcons by. So I'm dropping the points here for Denver.
Okay, go ahead, Carmen.
I got to go with Denver, too. Sean Payton, I think he's sick of Javonte, and Estime is going to carry the load today. And that Denver defense, as you boys have noted, it's kind of under the radar. It's a lot better than what the casual NFL football fan would think. I think they're going to win this game by 6-7 points. And indeed, Cousins is a bit banged up and has always been a traffic cone, as you said, Evo. A great correlation. So I gotta go with the Big Orange.
I'm going opposite here. I think that losing a game in the fashion that the Broncos lost the game last week has lasting effects. A team that thought that they were going to be taking a step forward, being able to compete against some of the big dogs, and you have a complete collapse of your team in one play. It's simple coaching stuff as well. That has ringing effects. As far as I know, that everybody in that organization is still there. They haven't fired a special teams coordinator. That kind of thing hangs around, though. That allows for some doubt and question to creep in. I don't like the Falcons a lot because they can't pressure fucking anybody. But I know that it can be incredibly demoralizing to a locker room to have a game in your hands that you should win and to lose it against a division rival. That carries a big weight. So I'm going Falcons plus 1.5.
Mike, I got to disagree. Yeah, that loss, a complete special teams breakdown with that field goal being blocked, it has lingering effects. And you guys have played the game. I've played the game. You're pissed off. You can't wait for kickoff for the next game. These guys are pissed off because they beat themselves. They didn't give their place kicker an opportunity. Something, I don't want to say as simple as special teams. It shows you how important special teams are and how important the kicking game is. And those guys just been bitching and grumpy all week. They couldn't wait for this day to get here. They had a chance to knock off the big boys, drop them to 8-1, and they shit the bed because they couldn't freaking block up front. So I think they're going to use that as a positive, and they're going to come out. They're going to be, they're going to be playing with razor blades up their ass, and I think they dominate.
Yeah, I agree with Carmen on this one. Like, I think that could be a motivational boost for him. Hey, we went toe to toe with
we beat ourselves.
Team. Yeah, and it was our fault. We can fix that. They didn't beat us. We beat ourselves, and now we know that we can go out there with anybody. And to use your logic, the Falcons went in a divisional game. They lost to the Saints last week. The Saints that lost to the Panthers. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. So, I like Denver in this one.
All right. We'll see.
And Esteme's a bitch. He's a load.
Well, Estime is a large human being.
And look, Sean Payton, he's had plenty of years down there in New Orleans hating
here's
the Falcons.
Thing. That's probably why I'm out. I'm not a Sean Payton guy. I'm fucking tired of Sean Payton. His dynamic offense isn't all that dynamic anymore, and it's about 10, 20 fucking years old.
Well, I don't have Drew Brees either.
Exactly.
Yeah. All righty. Well, we already talked the Chiefs and Bills game, so that takes us to our Sunday night football game. Cincinnati Bengals going to Los Angeles versus the Chargers. Chargers are favored in this one, minus a 1.5 at -105 odds. Bengals getting a 1.5 for -115 odds. So Chargers, they still have the best scoring defense in the NFL, allowing, I believe it's 13.1 points per game, which is fantastic. Bengals defense on the other side, absolutely abysmal. They are still generating very little pressure, looking terrible out there. Chargers, the highest points that they've allowed all year is 20. They've not given up 3 touchdowns in a single game. They're looking really stacked on that defense. It's going up against a high-powered offense there for the Bengals. But the Chargers, their offense has started to look more competent. Herbert's throwing the ball better. They have a good running game. Gus Edwards coming back is going to give J.K. Dobbins a little bit more room to breathe, not have to worry as much about the injury possibilities between those two. We talked about this on our Tuesday show. But the Chargers are 6-0 against teams who are 500 or less. Bengals, they've just got no defense. They're a one-sided team in this affair. And, yeah, they could go out and possibly put up a shitload of points and keep themselves in the game, but this is not the defense to do it against. I'm dropping the points here for the Chargers in this one. I like this Harbaugh-led team. I like the run game, them being able to dictate that game script and keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands.
Okay, so go ahead, Carmen.
That Chargers defense, I think, is just going to be too overwhelming for that Bengals offense. And, I mean, I can't stand Jim Harbaugh. I can't stand his alma mater, the Maize and Blow. But I got to go with Harbaugh. I mean, he'll be balanced. Herbert will put up good numbers. I believe he'll protect the football, and they'll run the ball very, very efficiently. And I think they cover that number easily today.
Okay. All right. I'm going the opposite way again here, guys, because while I know that the Chargers play good defense, they have some ability for sure. When you look at the offenses they have gone against, they got Raiders, Panthers, Steelers without Russell Wilson, Chiefs, Broncos, Cardinals, Saints, Browns, Titans. Not exactly a who's who of offenses in the NFL. The Bengals can fucking score against anybody. Can the Chargers keep up? We haven't seen them score a lot of points. The Bengals are going to give up points for sure because they're trash on defense. But that team is really good on offense. They can score a shitload of points. This is easily the best defense that the Chargers have faced, or the best offense the Chargers have faced all year. I'm going Bengals plus the 1.5 in a game that I think they steal and actually get a win here. I don't have a ton of faith, but I'm going to take the points because I know that the Bengals can score.
Well, then, and Mike, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you only because this is a game that plays right in the hands of Harbaugh. I mean, he's, like I said earlier, he's going to have a balanced attack, and he's going to run that football and try and get 4 yards of crack, maybe bring up a 3rd and 2. He's going to dictate the way this goes and keep that electric Bengals offense off the field. Ideally, he's going to want 11-play, 5-minute drives, 6-minute drives, and keep Jamar Chase and Burrow on the sideline.
No, I absolutely agree that is going to be the intent. But we know that this Bengals offense can go out there and score.
But they can't score when they're not on the field.
They can't score when they're not on the field. If they get the ball enough, I think they can keep this thing close. If they can grind the clock out enough, you're right. The Chargers have the ability to just keep the ball away from that dynamic, explosive offense.
Yeah, like Carmen was saying, I'm guessing game script in this one, and that is controlling via the run game, keep the Bengals offense on the sideline, which doesn't bode well for a Sunday night football game. If fans want explosive offensive action, you might not get it if Harbaugh's out there just kind of trudging along, keeping the ball on his offensive side and getting those 4-yard runs in order to control that game script. Look, we could have a good game here versus the Bengals and the Chargers. I really wish they would have flexed that Kansas City Chiefs Buffalo Bills game to the Sunday night. That would have been a fun one to watch. All right, that takes us to Monday Night Football, a Texas battle out here. We got the Houston Texans going to Dallas. Texans are favored -7 points at -118 odds. You can give those points to the Cowboys, led by Cooper Rush and maybe Trey Lance, because Cooper Rush is still a little banged up from last week's butt fucking. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it was a bad one. You can give those points to the Cowboys for -104 odds. You do have Micah Parsons going back out there. Yes, you have CeeDee Lamb. They shouldn't have to worry about too much sunlight in the stadium in this one. No curtains necessary.
Shades down. It's a Monday night. Yeah, you're right.
But look, yeah, it's this. We've talked a lot on this show, Carmen, about this Cowboys team. Mike and I both thought that this was an overhyped year for them and that things were going to kind of go downhill pretty quick. And here we are looking at a Cowboys team that is in the outs right now, not looking good at all. Where are we feeling like this game is going, boys?
The Cowboys are a fraud. Dak Prescott, I know he's not playing. He's out. He's a fraud. They stink. They absolutely stink. And, Cooper Rush is banged up. Trey may get a shot. I got to go the other way. And what makes me sick is to see what Nick Caserio is doing with the capital that the Browns gave him. But I've kind of somewhat become a Houston Texans fan because Nick Caserio is a Cleveland boy. But that aside, got to roll with Houston.
Look, we've got Browns fans, me, Vikings fans. I think a lot of us teams that have been maligned as far as not getting into the playoffs and having championships, like, we like to see the underdog, pull themselves up by the bootstraps and win. That's what the Texans have been, especially after last season. Like, they became, kind of America's sweetheart team on the AFC side. They haven't lived up to all that this year. It's closer than they should. They have not been as dominant as at least I had hoped. And that's what gives me pause in this game is 7 points. That's still a larger spread than I would like, but you are going up against a Cowboys team that is just really terrible right now.
The Cowboys have to score. They've got to score a touchdown on defense or special teams to give themselves a shot.
Yeah. Is Nico Collins back in this game, Mike? I know that
he is back. Yeah, I'm fucking following Nico Collins very closely because he's my number one receiver in most of my fantasy teams. So him being out was terrible. And I also think he is at least no worse than top 5 in the NFL right now in terms of wide receiver. He is fucking special. He should be back tonight, and this Texans team is so much better than this Cowboys team. And it's literally from top down. Ownership group down, Texans far superior to Cowboys. The Battle of Texas goes to the Texans. And literally every single phase right now, it feels like. Now, while there are huge pieces for the Cowboys, big names, unit for unit across the board, give me the Texans over the Cowboys, especially if we're talking about the offensive side of the ball, where finally Rico Dowdle has been declared the number one back, the lead back, even though he was very clearly the fucking lead back because the ghost of Ezekiel Elliott couldn't fucking get it done.
Yeah. That's the thing is that the Texans are getting Nico Collins back. If we look to last week, they had a chance to beat the Lions, and the Lions are the best team in football. I don't know if there's much of an argument other than the Chiefs just because of the record. But the way the Lions have been playing, they look like they're unstoppable. And that took an outlier game of 5 interceptions from Jared Goff. But you saw the Texans kind of dominating that first half. They got away from the run game. Joe Mixon has been fantastic when they fed him the rock. I think they're going to be able to do that in this game versus the Cowboys. Just feed Mixon the rock and then open up that play action to Nico Collins. You should see a good boost, a couple point boost from Nico Collins being back out there. I'll drop the points with the Texans. I don't like those larger spreads, but yeah, I'm dropping the points here for the Texans. I can't get on the Cowboys. Now, if you are wanting the Cowboys, I would wait on this one if you're going to bet it. I think that you're probably going to be able to get yourself 7.5 points, possibly later this afternoon or tomorrow before the game. The line is slowly moved, and I think that 7.5 is not outside the realm of possibility. So if you feel like getting frisky and taking the Cowboys in this one, wait on the bet.
It was 7.5 this morning. Jump back to 7. It will probably jump back to 7.5. Almost certainly it will, especially once we get the final confirmation that Nico Collins is going to play.
Yeah. Look, Nico has said, I just pulled it up. He said, I'm playing this game.
Yep.
So
listen, they got to put out the rosters, and then it's going to be official.
All righty. And that's it for our week 11. We have the Giants, Cards, Bucks, and Panthers all on bye week. So that wraps up our week 11. Do we want to take a look at our little Lineman Lounge parlay here if some people want to sprinkle something in their sports books and try to earn some extra money?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's toss up the Lineman Lounge parlay. So my parlay, pretty simple, man. I went running back heavy again this week. Jahmyr Gibbs. Listen, I expect a big game from the Lions. Montgomery will go out of the game early. This will give Jahmyr Gibbs an opportunity to feast, get rushing and receiving yards over 92.5. I think Nick Chubb has a big game today. This is this opportunity to actually show a little bit of old Nick Chubb. Old Nick Chubb, I'm not sure if he's ever fully coming back, but we might get a nice little taste today, and I'm betting on it. And then your game, man. I think that game gets slowed down a lot. Aaron Jones is going to have to grind it out. And here's an interesting stat that I found. Now, you guys don't typically run the ball a shitload. You guys do a good job, effective job of running the ball. But going up against the Titans, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL about giving up big chunk yardage. 12 plays of over 20 yards rushing for the Titans. I think that Aaron Jones will probably rip off a long one at some point today. So 61.5 feels very comfortable.
All righty. And for me, look, the odds on this one kind of blew me away. I was shooting for an easier parlay here, one that I thought was not going to be too wild or outlandish, but it turns out it kind of was. A Josh Allen anytime touchdown. I expect Josh Allen to be a huge part of this game going up against Kansas City. It's required that those quarterbacks both play some really good football. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. Then a Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown in that game. They need someone to score offensively. We've seen Travis Kelce be more of a part of this offense in the past couple of weeks. So I expect that trend to continue going forward. Anytime touchdown for Kelce. And then Sutton, 60-plus receiving yards. Again, he has gotten over 70 receiving yards in his past 3 games. He's going up against a porous, bad defense there against Atlanta. I expect that to continue. So 60-plus receiving yards. That gives you plus 1,096 odds, which I did not expect to see that. So that's a big one. If you want to even just sprinkle $1 on that one, you're getting 10 back if you win. That's where I'm going in this one. I think that it is fully possible that this one hits this week. So I threw some money on this one. Had to.
Hell yeah. Man, I think that'll do it though, right? Like that's it.
This was awesome, boys.
Carmen, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was an honor to have you. Obviously, you've been around radio, media, news, all sorts of that stuff in the Cleveland area for a very long time. I'm out here now, so I just want to say thank you very much for coming on, agreeing to be on the show. It was a great conversation. I would love to have you back anytime. And
you guys just let me know. I'm in. This was a lot of fun, man. And by the way, your open is badass. I dig it.
Thank you. Thank you. We've had some worries that maybe it doesn't resonate with the people, especially when I call them bitches. But you know what?
That's our thing.
Come on, stop, bitches.
Come on, bitches.
It's awesome. Don't they start too hall pass, Beavis? Yeah, let's go.
But that's our thing, Carmen. Is like we want to be authentic. Like we don't want to not be who we are. We are brash. We are a little bit on the edges of certain things sometimes. But like we don't want to put anyone's opinions down. But we're not going to put our own opinions down. That's for sure. Like we want to be authentic and be who we are.
Yeah, full transparency. I mean, if everybody was fully transparent, we'd all be better in this world. So, you know, you guys are right up my alley. Anytime you need me back, I'm totally down. Let's go.
All right. Thank you very much, Carmen. It was an absolute pleasure. Anybody who's tuning in, if you tuned in to watch Carmen or watch us, thank you very much. Everybody who did tune in, if you commented, we thank you very much. If you have a chance, head on over to our YouTube, like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube. That is going to allow us to continue to grow and hopefully bring you more fun shows and more people like Carmen Angelo joining us today. But with that, Carmen, thank you. We are going to get out of here. Evo, are you ready to wrap this thing up?
Let's do it, brother. We got about a half hour just till games start. Got to get ready for this one.
Yeah, yes, we do. I actually have to drive to the stadium. The Neopat in Northeast Ohio Foundation for Patriotism is doing a watch party at the stadium in the Cardiac Club. Me and the kids and the wife are going there now. So we're going to wrap this thing up. We're getting out of here. Guys, I'm Mike. That's Evo. Carmen is on the far end.
Peace out.
If you want to interact with us anywhere, go down below. We got X, Facebook, TikTok, the call line, and then, like I said, that YouTube. Please go in, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. But with that, we're going to get out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. See ya.